I wanted to make a quick movie to show you how to render in ZBrush and what you get out of it. I hope to make another movie which is going to show you how to take the render passes and run an action and bring them into Photoshop. So this is the rendered scapula, and I'm going to show you a few things about it. In order to render it, you hit this button right here called BPR, Best Preview Render. If you're ever working in ZBrush and you want to know what a button does, hold down Command and hover over the button and it will tell you. Okay, so the nice wax color that we have here is under the material dialog, also here, and I'm using Skin Shaded 4, which is right here. Okay, so that material is applied to that scapula. Under wax modifiers, these are the settings I have, and you can hold down, again, you can hold down Command to see the different things that it does. And these are just the particular things that I chose. You see when I move off it, we lose the wax color. It has a little modulation in the surface, so I went through and painted with the damn standard brush like this. And I'm going to turn that to something so you can really see it. And that's basically the brush pattern that I painted with. Okay, damn standard. And I did that with RGB turned off, but with Z sub on, and I'll zoom in here so you can see it, and it makes these little dimples all over. It just makes it look more like bone for some reason. I don't really even understand why. Then what I did was I made a mask and painted in the mask with a color, and I'll show you what I did. So I took under Mask by Cavity. When you open it, it will look like that, and if you click the cavity profile, I changed the cavity profile and I did Mask by Cavity. And that's basically what it gives you. And if I command click on the background, it will invert it. And through a series of masking and inverting and masking, or blurring, which is just command clicking inside of it, I created these shapes. And with these shapes, you can either fill with a color, fill object. I will do that now. RGB should be turned on and set to the desired opacity, and then when you go to fill object, it will fill it with that color. So if I clear this now, you can see that it added that bad purple color to a couple of places. Maybe what we want to do, I can hide the selection, so now I'm just hiding the mask. Masking is view mask would be here. It does the same thing. And what I could do is I could actually then sculpt inside right that selection. So if I turn that off and I have my same damn standard brush on, maybe I pick white, I can actually sculpt some really nice detail in there. Based on that mask. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's probably a little hard to see in the video, but it's there. Let's undo that and do it again. Sometimes it helps in ZBrush to see things from an angle so that the shadow, the preview light shadow is kind of raking across it. It just makes it easier to see. Alright, so that was all I wanted to show you there. I don't think there's a lot of point in continuing to do that. Okay, on this material, this particular Skin Shaded 4, I have gone in and adjusted under modifiers the reflectivity. I dropped the reflectivity to 0, and I changed the specular curve to look like that. Okay. As you become more familiar with it, you'll use more of those. Under Mixer, I have Posterize set to 100 and Outline set to 1 and Depth set to 100. What that does is that affects this line that's around our object. Right? And so those are the settings that I use. Well, that actually looks pretty good. Let's go with that. All right. Before you hit Best Preview Render, you can drag, if you don't like the anti-aliasing that you get, you can change it here, and this takes longer to render. It's just doing more rendering. Under document, the document size is here. Normally what I do if it's not big enough is I'll just double it, and then I have to redraw the object on the canvas. So I don't want to do it right now because trust me, you hit double, and then you have to clear the canvas by hitting Command N, and then you'll draw the new tool out. Okay. What else? Let's see here. I think we are render passes. Okay, we've done SPICs. All right, so let's go do render, and I want to dock this over to the left, so I'm going to drag this and put it over here. So when you render out of ZBrush, you get different passes. That's the raw render, that's the depth, that's the shadow, AO, and mask. I would go ahead and render, only render what you need. When we set up a Photoshop action, we're going to set up a Photoshop action for all of them. Okay, and I'll show you that in another tutorial. And really that's it. I adjusted the light here. So this is the light that I have. It's coming from above. These are the settings. And I'm trying to think what else I can tell you. Oh, if you want to escape out of a render, you can just hold down the escape key and it'll stop. I'm going to lower the render picks down to 3 and hit render. It's important that you're not spending computing horsepower and time rendering stuff that you're not going to see the benefit of in the final. And what I've noticed is that this takes a long time to render, and in the end I can't really see the ambient occlusion all that well, but it renders a whole lot faster if I turn that off. And the way you turn it off, see how slow this is rendering? Watch this. If I quit out of this and I go under render properties, right now it's rendering the shadow pass, the ambient occlusion pass. It's not really rendering a subsurface scattering, I don't think. Let me see here. Yeah, it's not. So the mask comes out automatically, the depth comes out automatically. So if I turn AO off and render this, look how fast it's rendering now. It's just marching right across, and it will look almost the same, I think. In some instances it'll look better because the ambient occlusion in ZBrush very often will just make things look muddy. Actually, I think I like it better with it on. Okay, so I'm going to have to wait through that. But let me see here. What else can I tell you? Yeah, I guess I'm going to stop this video and pick it up in the next, once it finishes rendering, and I'll try to do the render pass thing. Alright, we did document size. Yeah, I think that's it. Remember to save your projects as files. Just hitting Command S will bring up the dialog for file, and that saves a much larger project, but it will save your materials and your lights and all that sort of stuff. You can open it up and it will render and look just like it does when it finishes right now. I'm going to wait for that. It's probably better to just wait. So let me see here. What else can I tell you? Being able to make and modify masks. Again, here I just made a mask at the cavity, but you can also hold down the Command key with any of the brush tools and paint a mask on and then act upon it. All right, so that's how it rendered out. So that's done. And these are our render passes. So that's the AO, that's the shadow, that's the depth, and that's the shaded, and that's the mask. Okay? That's it. So I'm going to go stop this video, and I'll show you next how to get those into Photoshop.